Let's dive into a galaxy far, far away so we can learn a valuable investment lesson. Today I'm going to be using the new Star Wars series, The Acolyte, to demonstrate one of the most valuable investment lessons that you can ever learn. My name is Joseph Frankie, the founder of FitBUX. If you're new to the channel, welcome. We talk all things about money for young professionals aged 20 to 40 years old. Let it be about student loans, investments, home buying, fertility treatment. We talk about tangible financial freedom, dollars and cents, but we also talk about intangible financial freedom. That's mentally how we think about it. So welcome to the channel. If you're already subscribed to the channel or to the podcast, welcome as well. With that being said, let's jump into the episode. Now, before we walk into the valuable lesson that we're going to learn today and start talking about that, I need to talk about some background on Disney itself, the Acolyte, Inside Out, how we got to this point, so that way you can thoroughly understand the lesson that I want to teach you. Now, we have to look at who is running the show at Disney, basically management. And in my opinion, management is an absolute mess, and I don't see it getting any better. So if we look at the head, the CEO, Bob Iger was the CEO from 2005 to I think 2020. And when he left, the stock price was like $113 a share. But he actually stayed on as chairman of the board through like December 2021. And then when he left as the CEO, Bob, I always butcher his name, Bob Chapek, I believe is how you say it. He took over. And the stock price went up to 195 and then just tanked. It went down to like 100. And a lot of people blame Bob Chapek for this massive decline. It's like, was he really at fault? You see, he came in as CEO. After a year and a half, basically, he got fired. This is a production company, a movie production company. There's decisions that were made way prior before he became CEO. And the managers were already there. And the reason why that's a big deal is because then he got fired and they brought in Bob Iger, which was the same person that was there before. And it was like, oh, everything's great. It's like, well, no, not really. And this is where the learning lesson begins. You see, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I love it. I've read books since I was like 8 years old, video games, movies. I'm that guy that when like 4, 5, and 6 were re-released, I was there at midnight opening night. When 1, 2, and 3 came out, I was there at midnight. In fact, I was that person that was like, episode 1, 2, and 3, in my opinion, were not that bad. Like a lot of people were chastising them. I thought they were pretty decent. I thought it was really cheesy acting at some parts, and I thought it would have been a lot cooler if like Jar Jar Binks would have been like a Sith Lord. I thought that would have been really cool, but he wasn't. That's a side note. But I didn't think they were that bad. And then episode 7 came out. Again, I was there at midnight. Didn't think it was that bad. I thought it was pretty good, actually. And I was like really excited for episode 8. I was like, look, they can go all these different directions. This is pretty cool. Like, we'll see where this is going to go. And then episode 8 came out. And at the end of episode 8, I was like, I'll never see another Star Wars again. Like, this was brutal. Okay. When episode 9 came out, I actually didn't even go for like a month and a half. And then one Sunday, my wife was like, you want to go see it at a matinee so it's cheaper? I'm like, let's see it. Literally about a third of the way through it, I looked at her and I said, do you just want to leave? She's like, we're here now. Might as well watch it. One of the worst movies I've ever seen. Now, like I said, I'm going to get to this lesson in a minute, but I want you to understand that it's just not the Star Wars movies, because now Disney's doing this with like the Acolyte. The Acolyte, it's like they're just changing what movies are about. And what I mean by that is like in the Acolyte, the Star Wars itself is all about the Force, right? In the Acolyte, they changed it to this thing called the thread.
All living things are connected by the same thread.
What? And then all of a sudden they have witches in it. I mean, Star Wars, the universe already has this thing called the Night Sisters. They already have witches. All of a sudden there's this other group of witches that use the thread. Oh, and the biggest thing is the Jedi are the villains. It's like, what? It's basically like it's a whole different movie. And when asked about why, Disney literally says this. They're trying to make movies for all people. That just doesn't make any sense. I'm going to give you an example, okay? I'm going to use actually a non-Disney movie to give you this example. Schindler's List. Those of you that don't know what Schindler's List is, it's basically an old movie that is about the Holocaust, okay? And in it, It's all black and white, except for one little girl in like a red dress, and it shows them getting rounded up. It shows her in the concentration camps, and then the last time you see her is a dead body getting burned when they close one of the camps down. Okay, great cinema. It is telling a story. It has a purpose behind it. Okay, now what Disney's doing, especially with Star Wars, is let's just say they bought Schindler's List. They bought that asset, and they said, you know what, we're going to remake Schindler's List, and we're going to put a little boy with blue in it. And you're like, well, why are you doing that? Well, because we feel like the color blue is underrepresented in the movie, and some people might get mad if we leave the color blue out of it. You'd be like, that makes no sense. Well, that's what they're doing with Star Wars. Not only that, but they're doing it with their theme parks. So, like Splash Mountain, like they said years ago they were going to change the theme on it because Splash Mountain was racist. And I can't remember why they said that, but that was the reason. So they changed it to Princess Tiana. And now they're changing it again, apparently, because Princess Tiana was in a dress, and that was something like representative of the patriarch somehow. I don't really know. But they changed her. So she's out of a dress now, and she's basically in, from what I've been told, like warm ups, like sweatpants. And they basically took a bunch of stuff out of the ride, but they didn't replace it. So it's just like a water ride, log ride, where you go up the thing and go down. It's like the boringest ride people have ever been on, they tell me. So, how exactly does Star Wars and the Acolyte teach us a money lesson then? Well, you see on the internet that Acolyte is just getting blown up. Disney's getting blown up. Their share price is dropping. Whatever. Everybody's like, it's the end of Disney. Um, is it? Because the other movie I talked about earlier, Inside Out 2, came out and it's on pace to gross $1 billion. So they did something right there. You see, the most valuable lesson that this stuff teaches us is that you can't make investment decisions with emotion. And again, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. But when I look at it, Disney still makes movies that people like. Inside Out 2, Frozen. Like, you may not like those. I might not like them, whatever it is, but people like them. And the way you lose money the fastest way possible is when you make decisions with your emotions. Now, that's an individual stock, but most of us are managing our money. Managing money does not mean you're picking individual stocks. You're trying to invest for the long term based on your ability to take risk, earn like 6 to 10% a year. So, why is this lesson so extremely valuable? It's because people have this extreme fear of missing out. I see this all the time with people and with members of FitBUX. They give me a call. They graduate. They're paying off student loans, going great there. They're saving in their 401k. They're saving in their Roth. Everything is starting to go good, and then they call us up at FitBUX and, as we're managing their financial plan, and they say something like, my friend told me about this cryptocurrency or this meme stock or whatever it is. Should I invest in it? They don't want to miss the trend, the next hot thing. And I see so many people just lose so hard. One of the biggest lessons I learned in order to control that was this saying when I was younger. By the time you hear about it in the general public, the real money's already been made. That hot trend, it's at the peak. You want to go on the ride up to that peak. That's where the money's at. It's already written up. That money's gone. You're going to be the sucker holding it before it tanks. And I've seen that with so many people. We had a family friend back in the day with Yahoo. Everybody should buy it. They're buying it at the top, and boom, tanks, right? The big ones before the dot-com bust, boom, right? Real estate before the 2008 bust, whoop, boom. Crypto, whoop, boom. Meme stocks, whoop, boom. I can't even say that word, meme stocks, whatever they want to call them, okay? So that's the big lesson for today. You got to learn when it comes to managing your money and investments, you have to do it without emotion. The minute you start bringing emotion into your money, that's when you're going to start losing. Now, if you need help managing those emotions and building a plan that you can follow and help me actually implementing it, shameless plug, go to FitBUX, we'll help you out. But if you're not ready to take action yet, that's okay too, because if you just want to get some more educational content, then